Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world on a very fine summer day. As you can see, it is July. It has been a few days since we last spoke, and I have been busy. First, I spent some time prepping for this episode by making a lot of red clay bricks. No, not fire clay, red clay. These will be useful later, as they make for a very fine building material and decoration. Then I went out and I dug dirt. And I dug a lot of dirt. We'll also need a lot of grass this episode, so I went and I burned through a couple of scythes, cutting down grass. I noticed a lot of potholes around the landscape, so I went ahead and I plugged those as well. And following that, I went ahead and made some more tools, both cast and forged tools, because I needed them for prepping for today's episode as well as for the actual episode itself. Then it was off to find some more materials. Along the way, I marked berry bushes that I hadn't spotted before, and I poked my head down a few holes and took some prospecting tippy taps to see what's in the area, and continuing to build my library of prospected areas around our house. I got to where I wanted to get to work. I want to build with some limestone, and so I figured it would be a good idea to build a pit quarry and dig out as much limestone as I could, and I figured why not do it right on top of the malachite deposit to get some of that as well. Unfortunately, this required a lot more digging than I was expecting, and the limestone itself was a bit shallower than I anticipated, so I didn't get quite as much as I wanted. But that's when I remembered a trick where you just want the blocks to build with and don't want to turn them into ashlar or anything. And after a trip back home to unload, I came back armed with my chisel and hammer, and I chiseled a whole bunch of blocks, and then I was able to just dig them out with the pickaxe, and we'll use those blocks later. Then our pigs gave birth, and now that we have Generation 3 piglets, they're no longer afraid of us. So instead of having to chase them out of the pen, I enticed them with a bit of food. Speaking of food, I was pretty hungry, so I made us some more meals, and then I went out to chop down some trees, or I tried to, because at that exact moment it decided to go to high rift activity, and a rift just started spitting out monsters straight in my face. So I called it a day and came right back here. And that, my friends, is where we are picking up today. But what are we doing today, Corazar? I hear you ask. And yes, that is your voice. Well, today I want to get into berry bushes and fruit trees. We're going to talk about berry bush traits as well as how to propagate them. And then we'll also go over how to propagate fruit trees, which are done similarly but differently. But first, I want to take a moment and thank all of you for being here and joining me in this video. If you have a second, I'd love for you to zip on down and hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and maybe leave a comment to help the video bubble its way to the top of the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you'd like to see your name in the credits and get early access to videos, you can go and check out what's on tap over at the channel memberships. Members help support the channel and keep this channel sponsor free. But wait, there's more. I got a comment recently that reminded me of something I haven't brought up in quite a while. And that is 20 questions. 20 questions is a little segment that I like to run where you can ask me anything. It could be a question about Vintage Story. It could be my opinion on pizza toppings. It could be how many blades of grass I have in my yard. You name it, you can ask it. But yes, if you would like to leave a question for me to answer in video format during a building montage or mining montage or something similar, then go ahead and drop it in a comment with the hashtag 20questions, or leave it in the dedicated 20 questions Discord channel over in the Discord server. Alright, I'm out of breath. On with the episode. So, berry bushes. Berry bushes! Berry bushes. What is the deal with berry bushes? Well, if you have been playing even for just a little bit, then you've probably survived to some extent on berry bushes. They, of course, only fruit during the warmer months of the year, but they will fruit relatively early in the season and go late into October, sometimes even November. There are in the game many kinds of berry bushes. As of right now, there are 10, and we have access to a bunch of them. Not all of them, but a bunch of them. We have access to red, white, and black currants. We have blueberries over in the forest. We have some cranberries scattered around the fields here. Some blackberries also in the forest. And some strawberries we found way down here on the map when we were out and about, right there. And those are the ones that we have access to in our climate. If you are in a warmer climate, you might have access to beautyberry bushes. They're a sort of vibrant lavender or fuchsia color. And if you are in a colder climate, you might have raspberries and cloudberries growing around you. Now, of course, for berry bushes, if you want to get the berries off of them, you can just hold right-click for a moment, and you'll get the berries. Pretty straightforward. Now, in prior versions of the game, you could just beat up the bush with left-click. I'm not going to do that here. And you could pick up the bush and just plop it down. And you couldn't propagate bushes, but you could at least move them. So most players would gather the bushes from an area around the base and bring them somewhere close by and make some kind of vineyard or just a berry garden. Now, however, berry bushes can somewhat slowly be propagated by the player and therefore multiplied. If you want to take a cutting from a bush, you can do so with a knife. Make sure you crouch and hold right-click. It'll make the berry picking sound. When it's done, you will have a cutting of that bush. I'm going to take one from this one as well. Doing this doesn't hurt the bush. It will have no bearing on its ability to have fruit again that season. As you can see at the top there, it says a cutting can be taken in 12 months. You can take one cutting from a bush every 12 months. Is this realistic? Well, having grown berries myself in real life, no, not really. But it is a game balance thing, and I understand how that is a factor in the design of this, so that's fine. But we have plenty of berry bushes around here to take cuttings from, so I'm going to take a few of these as we talk about the berry bushes themselves. Well, here we go. We have some cranberries here. Take a few of these, and then a cutting. There we are. Now, once you have your cuttings, they'll need to be planted. And cuttings do have a spoil timer in your inventory, which can, as usual, be extended by leaving them in a vessel inside a cellar where they will last quite a long time. Once you plant them, the bushes will take between 4 and 8 months to fully mature and begin bearing fruit. About half of that is growing up from a baby bush to a full-size bush, and the other half is their first fruit. Now, it is July. In 4 months from now, it's going to be November. We are not going to see fruit from our new bushes this year. Bushes are also sensitive to the kind of soil they're planted in. We have here some low fertility and some medium fertility. And the way that they work is that berry bushes slowly drain the soil of its nutrients by about 15% per year. That does decrease every year by 5% of the 15%, so it's a very small number, until bottoming it out at about 5% total used per year in 20 years. Yes, that's a very long time in Vintage Story. Now this means, of course, that if they're draining the soil constantly and the first drain takes off 15%, that means that the low fertility will go from 25% to 10%, and even the medium will drop to 35%. What does that mean? That means that we have to actually fertilize the bushes in order to let them grow. I'm going to take one more cutting from a bush that I really don't care to have. We'll take this guy here, and I'll take this one as well. And we'll get into why I don't care for these particular bushes in just a moment. And we're going to plant a couple of them right up here. Not for any particular reason, just to have them as maybe decoration. So we have medium fertility soil here. I'm going to replace this medium fertility soil with some low fertility soil. And there we go. So you'll see that they grow on the soil block and not farmland. Do not till the land because your bushes won't grow on it. And so it grows in about 19 days, 31 days. This is randomized. And I think you can pick them up again, but I'm not going to chance it. So if you plant them in the wrong spot... Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and try it. This is a little tiny bush. We do get it back. So as long as it hasn't started growing yet, if you pick it up, you can just left-click it. You can replant it on better soil. But we're going to put this one on low fertility for now. And, well, forever. And we're going to talk about what we have to do to maintain these. Berry bushes need fertilizer. And the short version is that the more fertilizer and the more kinds of fertilizer the berry bushes have, the better. So in Vintage Story, there are 4 kinds of fertilizer. There are only 3 nutrients, but there are 4 different kinds of fertilizer. We have some of them readily accessible. Let's go over a couple of them. So first of all, we have bone meal. Bone meal is made by taking bones and grinding them in your quern. You can use any kind of bones, doesn't really matter. I prefer to use the small bones and fish bones first because the larger bones are more useful for things like making bear armor and for making tool handles and so on. But you can use them as well. And bone meal is primarily a phosphorus-bearing fertilizer. We can go ahead and come over here and we can right-click each of these. Well, it appears I was mistaken about how you apply these. We may have to wait until these are fully grown. I don't know that they actually use any of the soil nutrients until they're fully grown. So we'll come back when they're fully grown in, 8 months, and we'll try applying fertilizer then. But this is a phosphorus-bearing fertilizer, as I said. There are several other kinds. In our travels, we've come across some treasure. Here we go. And in that treasure has been a bit of saltpeter. Now, saltpeter is more commonly found inside caves. It looks like a layer of salt or sand that rests on top of the blocks in some caves. But saltpeter is primarily a potassium-bearing fertilizer. It has a bit of nitrogen, but no phosphorus. There's also one that is made using rot. And it's for this reason that a long time ago I said, don't throw out your rot, you're going to want it later. And that is because when you take a full stack of rot and put it in a barrel, you can seal it for 20 days, and it'll get back 16 pieces of compost. Now, I find that conversion ratio to be a little bit stingy, and it's for that reason that I recommend that at the beginning of every year, once you get your first harvest in, take last year's harvest and chuck it outside in a basket or a trunk, and just let it spoil and turn into rot. That way you'll have plenty of rot to turn into compost and start building up your stash of compost, which is going to be useful for more than just berry bushes and for your fields. Now, you can take your fertilizer and bring it over to your field, and you can fertilize your fields. I'm actually not going to do that because we don't have a whole lot of it, and I don't really like using it for fields, because I prefer to just rotate my crops since that does just about the same thing. But if you are playing in a world where you've only found low fertility soil, then you might have to use fertilizer in order to get your crops to grow at all. There is one more kind of fertilizer, and I want to see if we actually have some here. So we found a pillar of salt, or a salt dome, in the last episode, and inside these you can sometimes, but not always, find a certain kind of fertilizer called sylvite. Let's go see if we can find some. Very well, gentlemen. So here we have our halite rock. I'm going to go ahead and dig into it a little bit with both the Pro Pick and the regular pickaxe. I'm going to use node search mode. You're going to notice that the node search mode does not find halite. So if you're trying to look for salt like this, don't use the node search mode because it is a rock. Aha, however, we did find sylvite here. Okay, let's dig in a little bit here, kind of towards the center a little bit, and then we'll dig up and see if we can find some sylvite. Oh, here we go. So this is sylvite. And this is a kind of fertilizer you only find inside salt. Although, like all fertilizers, you can just buy it from some traders. And sylvite, wow, we got 3 from that. Sylvite grinds into powdered sylvite, and it doubles its output when you do that. Sylvite is a bit of a special fertilizer in that when you put it on a piece of farmland, it permanently increases the amount of potassium that farmland has by a value of 15. Wow, there's some sylvite up there too. That can be really useful if you are trying to really build up a supply of flax and you need to maximize the amount of growing time that your flax has every year, as well as make it as fast as possible. But let's go grind this up and we'll take a look at it. Again, I'm not going to put it on my fields because I don't really need to increase my fields' fertility. And also, I find it better to save sylvite for once you have some terra preta to fertilize. The reason being is that once you've fertilized your soil, if you pick it up, well, if you're in vanilla, you can't pick it up in the first place, but even with mods on, if you pick it up, you will lose the value of that fertilizer. It's gone permanently. And there we go, powdered sylvite. Oh, interesting, we actually have to mix this with water now. I did not realize that. And there we go. We have a whole bunch of potash. It will absolutely shotgun blast your soil with potassium. And also, of course, like I said, increase the maximum potassium fertility by 15%. So yes, your berry bushes need a regular application of fertilizer. And the way these work is they look at the average amount of nutrients among all three nutrient types, so N, P, and K. And the average amount of nutrients determines whether the berry bush will be in the barren state, the struggling state, healthy, or bountiful. And those states determine how many berries you'll get. Now, wild berry bushes will also say that they're either struggling or healthy, and unlike planted bushes, you can't actually fertilize the wild bushes, so they're going to be in whatever state you find them all the time, no matter what. So if the average of the nutrients in the soil is under 10%, then the bush will be barren. If it is between 10% and 29.9%, it'll be struggling, so you'll get the 2 to 3 berries. If it is between 30% and 80%, then it'll be healthy, and it'll provide the full normal 5 to 6 berry yield. And if it is bountiful, meaning 80% to 100%, then it'll provide 8 to 9 berries. Now, getting it to be bountiful is kind of a chore. It requires using terra preta, which is a soil that is crafted, not found in the soil and in the earth like the high fertility is. And so unless you're really trying to maximize your berry output with a very small farmland footprint, it's not usually worth bothering with going crazy with making sure you get bountiful. Now, I'm sure you've noticed the traits listed here, and you're probably getting curious about them. So we have thin-skinned fruit and densely clustered berries, and then just thin-skinned fruit. Every berry bush can have between 0 and 4 traits. Now, traits are a little capricious in that they're actually more likely to be negative than positive. There's like a 60-40 chance. So 60% negative, 40% positive chance for a trait. So you're going to find more berry bushes that have negative traits than positive traits, and they can be stacked up on a bush up to 4 traits per bush. It really isn't worth it to get deep into berry eugenics, but I guess if you want to, you could scour the world and find the perfect berry bush of every type, and bring a cutting home and plant it, and slowly, very slowly propagate it to have the perfect, crazy high output berry bushes, if you want to. I don't think it's really worth it, because land is plenty. I'm the only person here. No one else is going to be building anywhere near me, or in this world period. And there are 4 main trait types. There is the fruit skin, there are the clusters, we have the rootedness, and let's see if we have the last one here. Nope. Is there one out here we can find that has the last trait type we're looking for? Ah, here we go, right here. We have some black currants that have shy bearer. There is the bearer type trait. What each of these traits do is they modify the berry bush itself. The bearing type traits modify how many berries you get from each harvest. It is a 15% up or down difference. So I don't really recommend trying to find heavy bearing bushes, but I would recommend you stay away from the shy bearers. The thin-skinned and thick-skinned fruit just affect the amount of time that they are ripe for on the vine. I don't really find that trait to be that impactful, so I would say don't worry too much if you find one that is thin-skinned, and I wouldn't spend time trying to select for thick-skinned fruit. The berry clusters, which this one has densely clustered berries, that affects the harvest speed, which means that it's going to take you an extra, 2/3 of a second maybe to harvest your berries if it's a sparsely clustered berry bush, and it's going to take you 0.6 fewer seconds to harvest if it's a densely clustered berry bush. I suppose if you have an enormous berry patch, and you want to cut down on the time it takes you to harvest your 7,000 berry bushes, I suppose the clustering could matter to you. If you haven't guessed how I feel about the clustering on the berry bushes, well, I guess you'll figure it out eventually. The only trait that I really think is worth selecting for is the rootedness, the amount of nutrient uptake, because this will dramatically change how often you have to fertilize and therefore how much fertilizer you need. So strong rooted, you have minus 30% nutrient uptake, and weak rooted requires 30% more nutrients. This one I think is kind of pretty big. So if I can, I'm going to prioritize getting strong-rooted plants. I will avoid getting shy bearers, which I guess are the ones down in here, and I will not really worry too much about the other 2 traits. In the morning, we're going to go out and we're going to harvest a whole ton of berries, as well as take cuttings from as many berry bushes as we can get our grubby little paws on. I'll see you all then. It is morning, my dudes, and listen to that rain on the glass. The ambiance in this game is pretty impeccable. We are going to head out today to get us some berry bush cuttings and some berries from said bushes. And in between scenes, I spent a moment researching the berry bushes, and I have an update on some of how they work. Part of it is that I was wrong about the rate at which their consumption declines over time, and that is that it actually declines by 15% per year, but the final consumption does end up still being 5% after 20 years. The second thing is that I was able to confirm that berry bushes do not at all consume nutrients until they are young bushes. They grow partially, or halfway I guess, and then they'll start consuming nutrients. But yep, let's get out here and let's get as many of these as we can. I think I'd like to sort of take as many as I can from this larger area here, and then we'll head down here so we can pick up some strawberries, maybe hit these blueberries way down here, and yeah, we'll just see what all we can get. And this really beats up your knife blades. It takes about 3 durability per cutting, so make sure you bring along some spare knives or some spare flint and sticks for knives, of course. Always remember, kids, don't forget to empty your backpacks and your baskets at home for every adventure. Alright, back out we go. And I am realizing I might need more room in the cellar, too. Puppy! Bad dog. Puppy. Bad dog. And now that it's night and I'm back at home, I'm making some more nails and strips so I can make some chests to actually store all these berry bush cuttings. So I have, these are both full of nothing but berry bush cuttings. And I think I might prune these. Once I get another couple runs of this done. Oh, right. Tongs. Always forget. Alright folks, with chores done and fresh meals made, it is time for me to head out south, so I'll see all of you in hopefully a few minutes when I am not eaten by bears, and we are ready to check out these strawberry bushes, as well as hopefully the fruit trees. We have some more white currant bushes. Okay, I will actually stop to take these because white currants are actually quite rare, and if the berries don't make it home, that's okay. And you know what, since we're all the way down here, it's probably worth busting out the Pro Pick and seeing what we can find on the density search mode. Very carefully, mind you. Nothing. Very poor cinnabar. That is pretty close to nothing. Alright, I kind of want to get in here to the strawberries, get them, try to blaze on through, I don't want to stick around too long because, well, we have chickens there at least. There are probably plenty of wolves and bears to be found in here. As much as I want resin, I think I'll leave that. We have plenty of resin up by us. Okay, where were those strawberries? Here they are, okay. Very cute. Wild strawberry. Okay, that's fine. Did I get that cutting? I did, okay. And strawberries actually bear fewer fruits, with trade-off supposedly being that they generate in larger patches. It just means you have to spend a lot more time harvesting them. And I think I'll leave any of these that have bad traits, just because I have a huge ton of berry bushes already, and dealing with more of these in my inventory is going to be a bit of a pain. Plus, some of these are kind of more of a curiosity than a need. In fact, all this is curiosity more than need, if I'm being honest. Alright, let's see if we can sneak back here. We'll get these blackberries and these blueberries. And then there's a pear tree right next to it, and a pink apple tree on the way. Oh, here we go. There's some blackberries right here. You are... Ooh, you're strong-rooted. Yes, please. And there's one more... Aha, here. So, what do we have here? We have ripe in 10 days, ripe in 9 days. Okay. So, these trees are pretty far from home. Well, they aren't the farthest fruit trees from home. We have some that are right up here. These are closer. These are closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to harvest these trees here. I'm not going to take the fruit because I can't. But what I will do is I'm going to get my axe out. I am going to chop down most but not all of the tree. So we have tree stem. I want to chop above the stems. So we're going to go and chop down this branch here. There we go. And that will cause several of these to pop off here. I'll just break these leaves. Don't really need them. I'm also going to break this pear tree branch. There we go. And this branch. Alright, so we got a few what are called cuttings. Now, unlike the berry bushes, the cuttings don't currently have any spoil timer. But I wouldn't expect that to stay true forever. Just knowing what I know about how this game's development goes. And the fruit trees will regrow, provided that we leave enough of the stump. I believe you can generally cut them down a little farther even, but whenever you chop down the stem, you just get some firewood. So there wasn't much point in breaking that. Oh, and more white currants. So these guys have some bad traits, so I'll leave them. Blueberries. And I've cleared my inventory to make some room for these cuttings. And once again, I'm just going to leave any cuttings that are full of negative traits. Alright. I think that's good for berry bushes for now. Got plenty of berries, plenty of bushes. I want to go and check out this fruit tree here. I think it's a pear tree. Yeah, I see pears on it. Are there any beasties about? No, but I see some more blackberries. And blackberries, you gotta be careful because they will slow you down as you walk through them. Look how slow we move. And again, oh, these are ripe in 0.3 days. I'll be back for you, my friend. I'm going to leave those because I want to actually bring the pears back with me, assuming I have any room left in my inventory. But we're going to head down to here and check out these two fruit trees as well. I think I'll leave this one. This one's kind of far away and it has a bear typically guarding it there. But we'll head down here. We'll check out these fruit trees. And then I might just spend the night. And then in the morning, that pear tree should be bearing, and then we'll be able to harvest some fruit. As if I haven't harvested enough fruit already. Alright, folks, here we are, just about. I spy some deer here, which means it's probably relatively safe here. This one is a pink apple tree, 10.3 days. Okay, you're going to come with me. There we go. And let's see, I did get some firewood from that by accident. I'm just going to leave that here. Don't really need that. Goodbye. And the pear tree here, 9.1 days. Okay. I'm going to bring the rest of the pear tree with me then, too. And I'm going to poke my head. Ooh, that's right, we have a meteor right here. I forgot about that. Or meteorite. But I'm going to poke my head down a hole here and once again get a little tippy tap. If you're out and about, it is wise to bring along a prospecting pick with you wherever you go. so that you can just start building your library or your map of where all the ores are in the world. It's very handy. Deer butts. Okay, nothing special. I'm going to head back up to near where that pear tree is about to bear fruit. I'm going to bunker down for the night, and I'll see all of you in the morning. Alright, good morning, folks. I have erased any evidence of my terrible, awful-looking dirt hut that I slept in last night, and I spy a tree that is heavy with fruit. So here we have a fruit tree bearing fruit. Just like berry bushes, you can hold down right-click, and you will get a handful of fruit from the branch, and the fruit will then visibly disappear from the branch. So here we go. Just going to grab as many of these as I can. And note that you can actually get fruit from the center branches here as long as you crouch and then look up. You should be able to, it says stem, never mind. You can reach a branch, there we go. So that branch would normally be hard to access because it's really hidden up there, but it does have some fruit on it. And you will see that these fruit trees are very productive. I spy one more up here. Let's grab you if I can. There we go. I think that's everything. Yes, okay. Excellent. So we got almost a stack and a half of pears, and look at that. In our inventory, they last 40 days, compared to 2 for all these berries. So yes, tree fruit, at least some tree fruit, has a very long shelf life. Once again, I'm going to chop this down here and bring all of the branches with me that I can, and we'll leave this to regrow over the next year. And so this tree was not fully grown, or at least not quite fully grown. It looked like it had a little bit more that it could go before it hit maximum size. And it was also sort of crunched here. So you can imagine that once the tree gets to its full 6-ish block height and 5 block diameter, you can very well imagine just how productive these are. So we now have a whole bunch of cuttings and fruit. I'm going to head home and hopefully make it there unscathed. I'll see all of you when I arrive. Well, 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 and who should show up just as I get home? This guy. Well, we'll have to take care of him in a second. Maybe even just right now. I'm this way, dude. No? Still no? Ooh, he sees me now. Okay. Let's roll. Don't you go harassing my animals now. Alright, folks, with that ugly business over, I'm heading out once again. I'm hopefully on a short, less than 6-hour trip, because it is quite riftly outside today. And the reason is that I would like to get up to here and visit these 3 trees, as well as this one that I haven't identified yet, and then swing by what I'm pretty sure is a trader here. I did kind of want to continue working on my prospecting up here. So maybe we'll dip down into a few of these after all and take a few... Ooh, maybe not that one. We'll take a few taps wherever we can find a place to safely do so. Cassiterite and sphalerite. Not great amounts, but okay. Better than we found so far. Ooh, decent cassiterite. Okay. Let's keep going this way. Here's a little cave right here. Back to poor cassiterite. It's still something. Ah, look at that. I dare say that must be our pink apple tree. Well, let's see if we can get there without being accosted by the local wildlife. Wow, look at all these apples. Okay. So yes, this is definitely one for us to harvest here. And then I'm going to chop down all the branches and bring them with us. Now, fruit tree cuttings, like I said, aside from just their lack of a spoil timer, they also work fundamentally differently than berry bush cuttings. The way they work is that basically you plop them in the ground, the soil does not matter, they don't require any fertilizer, and then they just have a flat 40% chance to survive. That's it. Nothing crazier than that. And then hopefully you come back in, I think it takes 10 days for the tree to decide whether it is going to live or die. And then if it lives, it will sort of start growing a little bit of green on top. If it dies, then it turns into firewood. All right, that wasn't so bad. Let's see what else is in here. We have a second pink apple tree up this way. And some more bees, apparently. Oh wow, this one's ready too. Okay. And the reason that I'm not too worried about taking the branches off these is that these will most likely be regrown most of the way, if not the whole way, by this time next year. So that if our own trees aren't ready yet for some reason, which they might or might not be, then we'll be able to come back here and not only harvest the fruit, but also get more cuttings to try again. And just like the pears, the apples last quite a long time in your inventory. Let's head up here to the trader first. That way if I need to sleep there, I certainly can. Or at least I hope I can. Hello, buddy. I would like to come and hang out with you for a bit. Hi. Oh, he's a building materials trader. Hello, Humbert. Oh, you are amazing. So, building materials traders will sell building materials like fire clay bricks. They're already fired. Now, they're a little expensive, but you could potentially get, what's this, 40 fire clay bricks for 10 gears? Not a bad deal. And they'll buy things like quicklime, they'll buy lanterns, and a lot of tools, hammers, and axes. Very well, my friend. I might just spend the night with you. Guys, I'm going to spend the night with my new friend Humbert, and we'll head out in the morning to get those last 2 trees. Well, I came out here to fight the remainder of the beasts, and I do hear a wolf, or I did hear a wolf earlier. So there could be one lurking around, but just under the canopy we have yellow apple trees right here, or a yellow apple tree here. I'm actually going to take out this tree right here. I'm going to mark this as well. And I will harvest the yellow apple tree's leaves, or the fruit. I'll get whatever branches I can, but then we'll have to let this regrow next year in order to get some more cuttings from it. We got 1 cutting, so we'll come back next year and see if we have more. Oh, I need to go this way. Oh, neat. Ghost pipes. These are really cool. The only unfortunate thing is you can't actually move them. If you break them, they just just break, unfortunately. But they are kind of neat. Right, we're getting up to this tree here. Another pear tree. I also hear lava. I hear lava really close. That's pretty wild. Well, I'm going to mark this tree. Boop, there we go. And I'm going to... yeah, I'll take the branches. Why not? I don't need more pears this year. We have so many pears now. It is pretty funny. Also, the pink apples won't hurt either. That lava there is interesting, though, because you can turn lava sources into generators to make basalt. Oh, wild strawberries. I'll mark those. But since we are that's a bear. Since we're pretty full up, I think I'm going to leave them alone. The bear, however, I might poke. Oh, and there is a temporal storm approaching. Oh, lovely. All right. All right, I'm going to get this last pear tree, and I'll see you all at home. Okay, so I was just digging up some dirt over here to try to, 1, replenish my dirt stash, and 2, kind of cut this back and make it a little flatter. And I came across this heavily collapsed chest. It has a black bronze scythe and a bony ribcage in it. Would you look at that? All right. Okay, well, yeah, that happened. That's not unheard of. I've stumbled across these before. You can also buy treasure maps from treasure hunter traders in order to acquire those or find them. But stumbling on them is somewhat less common, although not unheard of, certainly. Alright, folks, the temporal storm is over, and you might be wondering what we're going to do with all of the fruit we have in here, especially the berries, since they have a very short shelf life. The apples and the pears, notably longer. I was hoping to save this for the next episode, but I think we're going to have to do it now in order to avoid too much spoilage. We could let the berries spoil into rot and turn that rot into compost later, but I want to do something a little bit different here, and that is I want to turn them into juice. And for that, we're going to need some copper rods, and we're going to make a couple of fruit presses. This will actually do something else for us too, which is that when we bring back our honeycomb, we won't have to stand here and hold right click over the barrel anymore. We can just plop down a bucket underneath the fruit press, toss our honeycomb in, and then run the press and get our stuff. So we're going to go ahead and smith ourselves a pair of rods. I'm going to make 2 fruit presses, because although they are a manual only machine, you cannot automate them even with wind or with water. It is still recommended to have 2 because they take a minute to drip all their juice or honey into the bucket. So you can start one, let it drip, and start the second one, and by the time you are done pressing the second one, the first one is ready for removal. So to make this, we're going to need 1 copper rod for each fruit press, and once we're done with these, I will show you what we're going to do with them. Alright folks, I'm just gathering the things we need to make our fruit press, or fruit presses, plural. And let's see, I just looked at this. Let's see if I can remember how this goes here. Oh baby, look at that. So it requires 1 copper rod, 1 fat, 2 resin, and 1 full log's worth of boards. I recommend you pick a cheap wood because it comes out the same color no matter what. And you get a fruit press. Do they stack? They do stack. Alright, so the fruit press is a little device. Plop one right here since it's next to our stellar. And we can just plop this in here and open it, and that should turn both of these into cellars. There's one, and the other. Perfect. Excellent. And this is going to get really ugly and cluttered in here. In fact, I might actually pick these guys up and tuck them away somewhere. Yep, it's getting pretty tight in here, not going to lie. I'm going to plop you there. Yeah, it's perfect. Totally perfect. One there and one there. We're going to grab red currants. And the way these work is you just right-click on the sort of boxy part here, and you can press your sprint key to fill it up the whole way with 1 single right-click, and then you just hold on the top part with the right-click down, and you wait until the screw gets the whole way to the bottom, and you can just move on to the next one, while the first one drips dry. And once they're done visibly dripping, that means that they should be perfectly dry. So here we have 10 dry red currant mash. The container has 10 liters of red currant juice. So here we go. Red currant juice right in there. Beautiful. And in there as well. So you get the mash out by right-clicking on these. We can right-click the mash and it comes right out. I'm going to do the next batch here. So yeah, that's juice in a nutshell. We now have 40 liters of red currant juice. If I do one more half a stack of red currants, we'll have enough for a full barrel. There we go, 1 full barrel. And we can do a couple things with this. We can just drink this. We can take our bowl here, right-click and drink from the bowl. As you can see, you get a decent amount of satiation, but you are losing about, as I recall, 10% of the maximum satiation when you juice some berries. Mongster did a more in-depth analysis of that, or at least he did the math, so I'm trusting that math. I assume it's correct. But yes, so you do lose some satiation from the satiation potential from the berries, but that is just the trade-off. And you'll see it lasts a lot longer, 24 and a half almost days versus 3. Now, the other thing we could do here is we could turn this into wine if we wanted to. We could seal this up and turn it into wine after 7 days. And I wanted to showcase that in the next episode, but I think the next episode is going to just be a building one. And if you guys can guess what I'll be building next episode, why don't you go ahead and put it down in the comments. What could I be building next episode? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to juice all the berries, get them out of our inventory here. And then we're going to get on with the rest of the episode here with what we're going to do with these cuttings. All right, folks. We have... Look, just don't worry about the mess. It's gonna go away. I've got it covered, don't you worry. So, yeah, we have all of our berries now pressed and mashed, except for these 13 cranberries. So, what are we going to do with all of this juice? Well, I certainly don't need this much wine for basically any reason whatsoever. Whoops, you can stay there. So, I think what I'm going to do is, for demonstration purposes, I will seal up the blackberry. I could go for some blackberry wine. Why not? The rest of these, I'm going to... Well, you might see it as a waste, but I'm actually going to put these outside. And the reason is that if you spoil berries into rot, you get a decent amount of rot from it. However, if you spoil the berry juice and the dry mash separately, you get way more rot than you would from the berries alone. So I'm just going to put these guys outside. These should last now, what, 4.3 days before they start to spoil. So that should give us a healthy amount of rot. This will also give me an excuse to finally actually put some rot barrels outside and start the rot process to make some compost. Alright guys, so it is time for a little bit of building today because I want to build a small vineyard and I want to do it over there. Let's go take a look. So, the build for next time is going to go smack dab here. But around it, I want to put a terraced vineyard of berry bushes. And we'll have one kind of berry bush on each terrace, and then maybe a couple fruit trees somewhere up here with the rest of the build. Simple as that. And as for materials I want to use for the terrace part, I want to use some chiseled limestone rock. And I might also grab some of the cracked limestone that we had in the quarry over there. And I want to have this mixed in with some red brick. And turn these into a set of blocks here. I think that these, especially once I chisel these in, so they're sort of like combined into single blocks, I think these will go really well together. Along with some slate rock. We'll chisel these down using the chisel and the hand planer and turn these into fancy wrought iron fences. And we'll have those top all of the limestone blocks along the terrace. Beyond that, we need dirt and cob and the berry bush cuttings. Alright folks, I'm going to probably sleep through the night and then I will see you all in the morning when we are ready to work on our vineyard. Really, the moment I come out here and start to get ready, you show up and it's apocalyptic. Well, I guess I'm going to head back inside for a bit then and hope that things clear up soon. Well, while I am somewhat confined to the house, I still think it'd be nice to maybe do a little something here. And to that end, I've grabbed the pink apple tree cuttings because I would like to plant a couple of them around our little Stone Age compound here. Because these are something you could get in the Stone Age, so therefore, I want them. I'm going to put one right here, and I think one right over here. Where the berry bushes are. Yeah, that's still fine. This will grow up and it'll shade them. And then I might put something over here. These can get a bit bushy though, so maybe I could put something maybe there. Now, of these three, probabilistically, only one of these will survive. So I'm going to save the other 13 of these for now, and I'll come back later and replant them when and if they die. Okay, that's it. I'll see you all when it's time to get back to work. Okay, everyone. The initial wall for the vineyard is complete, and now it is time for us to move over the berry bushes. So yeah, I think this is going to be the final shape of our place here. I might kind of unsmooth some of this, like maybe make this flow out a little bit this way, just to give it a little character, but that'll be for next time. So yep, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back here, I'm going to dig up the sort of rearmost portions of each of these sections here. I'm going to put in the medium fertility soil, and then I'll come down here, and I want to do this before the soil starts to really grass over. I'm going to find the blackberries, or whatever berries I'm going to plant here. I'm kind of leaning toward, I just won't bother planting the ones that have negative traits. So we're going to plant the real nice one here on the very end. There we go. And then I'll plant the rest of them here like this. Maybe I'll do like an extra one like here and here, and then one back here, I think. And yeah, that's going to kind of be how it goes. Now, for the berry bushes where I have tons of them, I might actually do both the rear part right here up against what will be the sort of wall here, and then I might also do the front. So we'll have like a walkway here, and then we'll have berry bushes on either side that we can harvest, because we have way more berry bushes than room if I were to just keep it to this sort of back wall area. I'm going to get to it, and I'll see all of you on the other side. And with power editing, let me skip a thunderstorm and a temporal storm. I finally have all of our berry bushes planted here. Check it out. And I was able to scrounge around for some more limestone to plop in here. And I have more at home, but it is not chiseled stuff, so I kind of want to save that for other projects where I want to actually turn them into like ashlar or other things. So I'm leaving those alone. But we have here, let's go to the top, we have our blackberry brambles. That always reminds me of the children's book Jamberry that I grew up reading, and that my parents gifted us again when we had kids. There's a line that goes, "Rumble and ramble in blackberry bramble, billions of berries for blackberry jamble." That always just sticks in my head. Anyway, farther down here we have the strawberries over on this side as promised. On these little sort of mini ledges here, I'm going to have stairs down right here, and both sides have cranberries in them for now. I may or may not keep them because cranberries are kind of okay-ish, and if we ever get some of the more exotic berries like beautyberry or whatever, I might replace at least one side of this with that. We have our blueberries up here, and it will sort of be the side yard up on this main ledge. And then, as I threatened, we have the red currants here and there, black currants there and there, white currants there, and, well, not here yet. Not quite. And then, yeah, I am kind of thinking that we might come back and plop down some fruit trees here. And I'm going to use the remaining berry bushes that we have acquired and just scatter them around our house. I probably won't bother fertilizing them. I just kind of want them for additional color in fall because the berry bushes get very brilliant in fall. And then maybe just some more texture with the sort of shrub design in the rest of the year. Now, one last thing I wanted to show you before we said goodbye today is that all of our juice has in fact rotted into, well, rot. And we got a pretty solid amount. I think these are the full barrels where they had 50 liters of juice. Looks like you get half as many liters of rot as you had juice originally. And then everything else we had is in here, and these are still just starting to spoil. But we have many stacks of rot now, which is perfect because I want to start... Oop, I'm full up. I want to start getting all this in here so that we can seal them up, like so, and start getting some compost. And I'll make a couple more barrels so we can fit this in at some point here. But these will stay sealed for 20 whole days, which is a very long time in a vintage story. But we should have rot, I guess, in, like, what, December at this point? But everyone, that is going to do it for this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into both berry bushes and fruit trees, and the misadventures we got up to in going and finding them, and bringing them back for our vineyard build. I am pretty pleased with how this came out, though I do see behind me those extra parts that are going to need some brickwork added to them. Oopsie. But yes, I am very happy with how this fence and the wall came out, and I hope you're looking forward as much as I am to the build in the next episode. The names scrolling by belong to the awesome people who are supporting the channel by signing on as channel members. If you too would like to see your name in the credits, get access to videos early, and maybe even hear me butcher your name in the next part, then go check out what's on tap in the channel memberships. The following folks have gone the extra mile to support the channel by signing on at the Seraph tier. Their names are Chrysanthemum, Dalto124, Elizabeth Woolley, Eric Franzen, Inger Raymond, Joshua Saruda, Linda Harris, Lucky's Mom, Mad Lord Hubris, Operion, Oak Tree, Servus, Snow Silver, Sue Wallace, Tyluna, and Wade Parker. As always, my name has been Kurazar. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.